Hello, everyone watching. My name is Corentin. I am a creative at large, a fashion designer, an evolutionary astrologer. And Soul to Soil is for those moments when you know you can't go back, but you can't yet see what comes next. And maybe that's exactly where you are. Maybe nothing has spectacularly fallen apart on the outside. You might still have the job, the relationship, the home, the responsibilities. You answer the messages, you go to work, you smile at people. You look, by most external measures, functional. Privately, you are feeling and or thinking, I cannot keep doing this. If that's you, I don't immediately want to ask what you're going to do next. No, I want to start somewhere much simpler. What if you're not lost? What if you are in the in-between, in this liminal phase, in the crossing? I think we often know that something has ended internally long before anything has ended externally. You can still have the job and know the career is over, right? You can still be in the relationship and know the way you have been relating cannot continue. You can still own a business and know that the way you have been operating it no longer works. You can still live in the home and know it no longer feels like home. And because nothing has officially ended yet, you start questioning yourself. Am I ungrateful? Am I sabotaging something? Am I just tired? Should I push harder? Should I wait? Am I just having a crisis? What if I ruin everything? I know that territory extremely well because sometimes the hardest thing isn't admitting that something is bad. Sometimes the hardest thing is admitting something can have been good for me and still be finished. And that is something to hold. You know, for years, fashion was not simply my work. I built a brand. I had a store. I designed bespoke garments and some collections. I worked with clients. I sold. I organized production. I fixed every problem I would encounter, and often problems caused by me and by my sincere belief that I could personally do the work of 17 people. And the business became one of the primary languages through which I understood myself. I wasn't simply someone who had a business. I was the designer, the entrepreneur, the person with the hat that has a store in the corner, the person who makes things happen, the person who survives, the person who can find another solution. So when that whole structure began changing, I wasn't only asking, what happens to my business? I was asking, who am I if I'm no longer this version of myself? And maybe your version isn't a business. Maybe you've always been the partner, the parent, the caregiver, the provider, the successful one, the strong one, the friend that listens for 10 hours, the person everybody calls. And suddenly the role still exists, but you no longer fit comfortably inside it. And this is one reason change can feel disproportionately painful. There is the visible loss, and there is the invisible loss. You lose a job, perhaps you also lose your status, your routine, your community, your friends, the identity of being successful, the person who knew what came next. The relationship ends, and perhaps you also lose the future you imagine, the version of yourself who existed beside that person, the role you played, the way you understood home. Not only do we grieve people and places, we grieve identities. And you can know that an identity no longer fits and still miss it. I'm still there. You can choose to live and still grieve. You can feel relieved and terrified at exactly the same time. Behind, like, human beings are irritatingly capable of feeling several things at the same time. One emotion does not invalidate the other. It really doesn't. And that's where nuances are so important, especially nowadays. And this distinction has become very important to me. Maybe life isn't asking you to become a completely different person. Maybe the essence of you remains, but the language through which you have been expressing that essence has changed. You can still be creative when your career changes. You can still love people deeply when you stop sacrificing yourself to keep them happy. You can still be ambitious when ambition stops meaning exhaustion. You can still be generous without being endlessly available. You can still value achievement without using achievement to prove that you deserve to exist. Maybe the thing underneath survives, but the container changes, the role changes, the expression changes. And that's why I don't particularly love the idea that reinvention always means becoming a new you. Sometimes you are not manufacturing someone or somebody new. Sometimes you're removing structures that no longer allow enough of you to exist, right? It's removing the masks. And this is one reason astrology became such an important map for me. Not because it told me what job to take, or whether I should leave, whether I should keep my business, or what was destined to happen. Not at all. It helped me ask better questions. What part of life is being activated now? Why does something I tolerated for years suddenly feel impossible? What do I associate with safety? What role I instinctively play when I feel threatened? What keeps repeating? In astrology, transits and progressions can sometimes help us understand the season we're in. But a season is not an instruction. The rain doesn't tell you whether to leave your house forever. It tells you something about the conditions. Same for astrology. Astrology can describe the terrain, but you still live your life. And that is the main distinction. You retain and reclaim your agency. You never give it away. So I want to give you 2 minutes, not to figure out your future, but to locate yourself. If you can, stand up. Imagine a line on the floor. Behind you is what was. Where you are standing is what is. In front of you is what comes next. You don't have to step forward. Just stand in the middle. Feel both feet. Take one slow exhale. And first look slightly behind you. Ask, what do I already know I cannot return to in the same way? Now come back to the center and ask, what is true about my life today? Now look forward, but don't move. What am I demanding that I know before it is actually knowable? And finally, put one hand somewhere on your chest or your belly and ask, what would make today 2% more honest? Maybe the answer is rest, an email, admitting something to myself first, answering immediately, opening a spreadsheet, going outside. You don't need a new identity. You need one honest piece of information. That's enough. If you remember one thing from what I just said, not being able to go backwards and not yet being able to see forwards is still a position. It doesn't automatically mean that you are stuck. You may simply be standing at a threshold. And thresholds are uncomfortable because the old certainty has gone before the new certainty arrives. Your job may not be the rush. You don't have to rush through that threshold. Your goal and your job may simply be to stop pretending that the old road is still yours. So if you want to tell me in the comments, I'd love to hear from you and know you. What do you already know you can't go back to? And you don't have to know what replaces it, really. Just name what you already know. Take what helps you recognize yourself. Leave what doesn't. And remember, you don't need the entire road illuminated. Sometimes you only need enough light for the next few meters. 2 minutes counts. Thank you. I will meet you in the in-between. See you next time.